How can you guys start your own assisted living home without owning any real estate? If you guys are interested, make sure you guys stick around. What's up, everyone? I hope you guys are all doing well. If you're new here, my name is Serge. Welcome to my channel. To all my reoccurring viewers, guys, thank you so much for all the love and support that you guys have shown this channel. If you haven't, and if you're new here, go ahead, go join my Facebook group that I've created called Legion Assisted Living Academy. Make sure you guys answer the 3 questions prior to requesting yourselves. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the topic of this video. Now, about a year and a half ago, I actually started my first assisted living home, and I know a lot of people have been saying you can't call it an assisted living, and I know in other states it's actually a law that you're not allowed to market your home and call it an assisted living home. But in this video, and in Arizona, my license says assisted living on it, so I just want to clarify that for anyone who's confused on why I keep calling it my assisted living home instead of like a group home, etc. So that's the reason why, is because I actually, here in the state of Arizona, on my license it says assisted living. So with that being said, guys, I want to actually talk about my experience about how I was able to get into my home and start my assisted living business without owning any real estate. So when I first moved here, I really didn't know what to look for. I was completely naive and oblivious to what to look for in a property and how to even look for it. But in a recent video that I had made where I lost $20,000 being an entrepreneur and all that that came from that whole situation was what led me into the home that I'm currently in doing assisted living. Despite everything that happened with that person, they a blessing did come out of it to where they did help me find this property that was already zoned as an assisted living prior, and the whole goal was to do behavioral. So when we were looking at different properties and different assisted living homes at the time, that's when we came across this person, and they ended up showing us this home. And then when I saw it, I instantly fell in love with the style of the home. Everything about the home, I just fell in love, and I was like, okay, this is definitely the home I want to do. Whatever it is that I was going to do, I didn't know I was going to do assisted living at the time. But with that being said, fortunately for me, just the way everything lined up was that the home was being used as an assisted living previously. So what I tell a lot of people is, if you can find the home that was previously used as an assisted living and talk with the landlord to lease it out to you guys, they most likely probably already had someone in there who was doing assisted living out of, and they just weren't successful with it, and they had to end their lease with the landlord. So most landlords know that since you are running a successful business out of there, they can charge you guys more on your rent due to that factor that you will be running a business out of it. And if it's already been zoned previously, that's even better, and that makes that property more valuable, and that's why most landlords do charge more when they rent them out. So with that being said, guys, when I came here and I signed my lease, in the lease it did state that I was able to use it as an assisted living, and I didn't know this, and I should have just started out from day one. I shouldn't have even tried to mess with the whole behavioral aspect of things. I should have just started out from day one, but that was a mistake that I've learned, and moved on from. But with that being said, I then eventually started my assisted living, right? And so it was a pretty smooth transition when I just signed the lease agreement. There really wasn't anything in there that was questionable or was hard to debate. So it was pretty straightforward, the lease agreement was, and that's how I was able to start my assisted living business out of, a home that I rent, and I don't own it, right? I don't own any real estate to do my assisted living. Now, there are pros and cons to doing both, of leasing the property or purchasing the property. The pro to leasing the property, and I've mentioned this in previous videos, is that you are able to get into the property for a lot cheaper. And you could also, if you don't have the greatest credit score, you could also have someone just co-sign, like as if they were to co-sign for a car you're wanting to purchase or a home that you want to purchase down the road, right? The same concept you could do with leasing a property or anything of that sort. So those are the pros really when it comes to leasing a property. And then it's also a tax write-off for your business that you are leasing the property. A lot of businesses do that, where they'll either purchase the property and they'll literally sell it to the person, with that person knowing that they're just going to lease it, just because they're able to write that off, and they're able to use that extra capital when they sell the property that they make to reinvest back into their business. It's a smart concept. I didn't do that, but that's something that people do. But with that being said, the con to leasing a property from a landlord is that the landlord at any given time can say, I don't want you running your business out of it anymore. I'll respect your lease, but once the lease is over, you have to shut down your business. So that is the biggest risk of leasing from a landlord. Most landlords aren't going to really do that, especially when you have long-term leases with them, 2, 3 to 5 years. They're guaranteed a tenant, and their property is cash flowing most likely due to the fact that they are renting it above market value. So for them, it wouldn't make sense for them to just tell you to get out and leave. The main reasons would probably be like neighbors are complaining, it's an HOA, and the HOA is constantly on their back about certain things. Cars parked out in the front, the ambulances are always showing up, there's always transport. All this stuff could play a factor in why a landlord would want to, pretty much end the lease with you and tell you to take your business elsewhere. Now, with that being said, there are pros and cons to purchasing a property as well, right? Purchasing a property, the con is that it requires a lot more of a down payment, so a lot more overhead costs, or startup costs, excuse me. And then also, the con is that that's pretty much the biggest con, is really not having the capital to put it as a down payment. The pros are a lot more significant when you're owning the property, right? And you're running a successful business out of it. But in most cases, I think there's a lot of people on this channel who just don't have those types of resources when it comes to having to put a down payment on a property that's worth doing assisted living out of. Like for instance, this property that I'm doing my assisted living out of is probably a $300,000 to $400,000 house easily, and there's no way I would have a down payment, especially then I did not have a down payment for a house of this caliber, right? And so I know a lot of people don't. In most homes that you do want to purchase that are nice and that are suitable for assisted living are on the higher end, and they're probably a lot more expensive and harder to qualify for. So that's why it's so much easier to just lease the property. Therefore, you're not having to fork out so much money. Now, when I started with all this, I didn't have any of this in my mind to do. I didn't know that I could just lease a property, right? I didn't know any of this, and that's why I'm here to teach you guys that you can definitely do it, and it's a lot more scalable as well. If you want to just lease properties and do assisted living out of, that's another pro, is that you can probably scale a lot quicker than buying properties, right? Than having to find the property, put it in an offer, wait a couple months. But if you know that certain properties are already being used and have been used, you can definitely scale and go do the leases on those properties and start more assisted living out of. So with that being said, guys, you got to just weigh out your factors of how to get into real estate without owning any real estate. And that is the beauty of real estate, is that you can do so many things when it comes to starting businesses out of real estate, right? And that's why it's such a good vehicle to have as an investment. And I encourage everyone to start looking into doing things in real estate, because you would be shocked at the things that you can do to make even more money, to reach your guys' goals of financial freedom, to reach your guys' goals, and also to just have fun while doing it, right? And real estate is always being sold and it's always being bought. So regardless of how the markets may be going, yes, there may be highs and lows here and there, but keep in mind, guys, when you want to start an assisted living, the best route that I've seen and experienced is the route that I took the first time, just because it got me into the business a lot quicker and it wasn't as big as a risk of me going and buying a property, right? I wasn't tying myself down to a $300,000, $200,000 mortgage. I was, clear of that. And so I was able to just get in with very minimal amounts of money, and the risk was a lot lower. So with that being said, guys, take all that in consideration. If you guys got a ton of insight from this video, make sure you guys hit that like button. Also, make sure to hit the subscribe button if you haven't yet, guys. And also go join the Facebook group that I've created called Legion Assisted Living Academy. And go watch all these other videos. They are very informative, guys, and I would appreciate you guys if you just went and watched them. Because I do get a lot of questions regarding a couple things that I've already covered in great detail. So just go find the videos, and I definitely have that playlist, and so go watch it. And if you've stuck all the way to the end, thank you so much. I appreciate you, and I will see you guys all in the next video. God bless. Peace.